tens of thousands of hard-up renters face the risk of homelessness once more, campaigners say, as the 6-month ban on evictions comes to an end today. From Monday morning, landlords will be allowed to bring eviction proceedings before the courts in England and Wales for the first time since March. The deadline was extended twice, but has now officially ended, and the government promises there will be more support for those who face losing their home. Those protections include a new 6-month notice period for all those served notice after August 29. But shelter estimates 227,000 private renters fell into arrears between the start of the pandemic and August, while 2% have been threatened with eviction. Labour called for the ban to be extended, as well as wage protection under the furlough scheme, which is due to expire on October the 31st. Shadow Housing Secretary Thangham Debbonaire said, "Coronavirus cases are rising. Vast swathes of the country are set to be under local lockdown, and the COVID jobs crisis is set to get worse. This is no time for the government to restart evictions." Labour, charities and the campaign group Generation Rent have called for more help for renters. Shelter Chief Executive Polly Neate said the 6-month notice period would simply delay the threat of homelessness. The Local Government Association, which represents councils, has voiced fears ending the ban could see a rise in the homelessness. The body has demanded the government bring forward its pledge to end no-fault evictions. But the National Residential Landlord Association, NRLA, insisted private landlords would work with their tenants to sustain tenancies wherever possible. It defended the restart of evictions, saying landowners must be allowed to tackle serious cases like tenants committing antisocial behaviour or domestic abuse, which have been blocked from going before courts. The NRLA also says there are rent arrears which have nothing to do with COVID-19. Chief Executive Ben Beadle complained the 6-month notice period would freeze some short-term landlords out of accessing their own homes, effectively making them homeless. He called for a stronger financial package to help tenants to pay off rent arrears built since the lockdown started. A spokeswoman for the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government said, "We've taken unprecedented action to support renters by banning evictions for 6 months, preventing people getting into financial hardship and helping businesses to pay salaries. To help keep people in their homes over the winter months, we've changed the law to increase notice periods to 6 months and introduced a winter truce on the enforcement of evictions for the first time. In addition, we have put in place a welfare safety net of nearly £9.3 billion and increased local housing allowance rates to cover the lowest 30% of market rents. New 6-month notice rule explained landlords must now give renters a minimum of 6 months' notice if they want to evict them. This means renters will have half a year to leave their property after an eviction notice is issued, as long as the notice was served after August 29. However, if there are serious mitigating factors, then the 6-month rule no longer applies, and you can be evicted within 4 weeks. Mitigating factors include, but are not limited to, fraud, antisocial behaviour, tenant has not paid rent for 6 months or more, domestic abuse, 2-week eviction notice. A private landlord can ask you to move out by issuing a Section 21 or Section 8 notice. A Section 21 notice is commonly referred to as a no-fault eviction, as landlords don't need to give a reason for evicting you. A Section 8 notice can be issued for things like antisocial behaviour. Other new hoops landlords need to jump through. As of today, the ban on evictions will end, meaning your landlord will be able to evict you if you are not covering your bills or for no particular reason. However, the government says landlords will be asked to submit evidence about how their tenants' circumstances may have been affected by coronavirus. If they don't, judges will be able to suspend the court proceedings until they provide the details. This means eviction proceedings for thousands of people could effectively be pushed back by months. It also means the judge might be more likely to rule in your favor if the circumstances were out of your hands due to COVID-19. Meanwhile, landlords also cannot instantly start hearings on evictions which were attempted before 3 August 2020. Instead, they have to reactivate legal proceedings with at least a 4-week gap before the main hearing can take place. And finally, the government has also put a Christmas truce in place, meaning no evictions will happen in the run-up to or over Christmas. There are exemptions to this for domestic abuse or antisocial behaviour. Reasons: your landlord can terminate your contract. Your landlord can terminate your contract without reason with a Section 21 notice. Alternatively, they can cite the following: you have fallen into rent arrears for 8 weeks, if you pay weekly, or 2 months, if you pay monthly. Antisocial behaviour and a nuisance to your neighbours. Breach of your tenancy agreement using your home for illegal purposes, such as drug dealing, if your landlord thinks you have moved out. Tenants' rights explained. How long is the notice period? Section 21. 2 months if your landlord handed your notice before 26 March 2020. 3 months if it was served between this date and 28 August 2020, and 6 months if it is served between 29 August 2020 and at least March 2021. Section 8. 3 months until September 30th, 2020, if you were told by your landlord on or after March 26th, 2020. If you are a council or housing association tenant, you'll be given 3 months' notice if your eviction order was received on or after March 26th, 2020, up until September 30th, 2020. Before this date, you should have been given at least 4 weeks' notice. Can I challenge it? Get the latest money advice, news, and help straight to your inbox. Sign up at mirror.co.uk/email. Yes, if your landlord has broken the rules or you feel have been treated unfairly, get in touch with them and explain your circumstances. Ask to be placed on a payment plan or show proof that you are trying to make things right. You may also be able to challenge your eviction if your landlord failed to follow the right procedures. For example, Citizens Advice says you can't be evicted if you weren't given the correct notice period. You can also start a challenge if you believe there isn't a good enough reason for you to leave your home. To start a challenge, you'll need to wait until you get papers from the court. Once you've got these, speak to Citizens Advice or Shelter for free advice on your next steps. You may have to pay court costs if you decide to challenge your eviction, so make sure you've got a good case before proceeding. How to get help paying your rent. If you can't pay your rent, the first thing you should do is speak to your landlord. Get in touch with charities such as Citizens Advice or Shelters. You may also qualify for financial support. Those who have had their incomes cut will also be able to apply for universal credit in the interim.